Joe.
Dave, Cho, and Ji Young. On Skype, we have Fish Guy Josh, the esteemed keeper of the fish, and Ned, or the treater of the fish, and Ned, the keeper of the fish.
Ned seems to be gone.
He might have just had to run to the bathroom.
The point of this meeting is to once and for all decide the future of the Fishcenter tank, which recently sprung a leak, and we need to get a new tank. So we're going to finish this once and for all. There's also been a submission from Carrie from Lincoln. She wrote down some thoughts.
I don't think we should read it.
I motion to have us just read that first and let it inform the rest of the meeting.
We're going to go around and everyone gets an equal vote, including Ned and Josh. First motion is we read the letter from Carrie from Lincoln. Cho?
What?
Yes or no?
I'll second that.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Ned?
I'll abstain.
Ji Young?
Yes, might as well.
Dave?
Yes.
Dave, you got bullied into you were saying no.
Mike?
Yes.
Yes. For
Okay.
Max as well. Sorry.
Someone's got to read it.
Well,
Max,
to read,
you have a plan for this.
Yeah, to read Carrie's proposal that represents the Takayo community, who I think is one of the foundational communities of our program, and was a collaborative effort, apparently. Cassie will be reading Carrie's letter upon a microphone.
Welcome, Cassie. Cassie's an intern. Please read the presentation.
Sort of sounds like Carrie.
There's 4 cameras here if you want to.
Yeah.
Train all 4 cameras on it.
Make Fishcenter 2015 again. Dear hosts, fans, friends, and fish of Fishcenter Live. Fishcenter Live has been a constant in our lives for over 4 years. From the time before chats to the final days of Greenbird, we have followed the lives of hosts, guests, and fish. There is no doubt to us that FCL has been suffering a decline in quality and spirit, especially in the current tumultuous time of consecutive fish casualties and relentless musical guests. In the twilight following the 1000th episode, action must be taken to protect FCL from further decline in the dawn of the 2nd season. For your consideration, we present this essay of recommended strategies for restoring our beloved show to its former glory as the flagship title of the Adult Swim streams.
How long is this?
Yes.
5 pages?
I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
nobody
one.
said
The proposal was to read the first page, right?
Okay, well, next meeting we might read the second page.
I mean, you know, we have an hour. I mean, you know, like if you can summarize it, Cassie, like try to
Did you
summarize
read through it?
This section is like the summary, so.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read the
All right,
summary.
read the summary.
And then we'll think about it, right?
I second that.
Park the car, roll down the windows, we're gonna be here for a while. In order for Fishcenter to survive the next 1,000 episodes, there are 3 challenges that must be addressed to repair the foundation of the Adult Swim streams in our online community. 1, choose and execute a plan for a new tank. 2, prevent fish casualties. And 3, examine and redefine the scope of the show. These are the proposed actions to counter out our top 3 observed challenges. 1, fulfill the one tank prophecy with a classic, affordable, and versatile rectangular design. 2, take proactive measures to protect fish health, limit stressful situations, monitor water quality, enforce strict quarantine procedures, and feed a high-quality, varied diet. 3, prioritize core FCL content like Coin Quest, interacting with callers, aimless banter, and atmospheric dead air over using the show as a green screen venue for musical guests.
Ask Carrie how long the Coin Quest rounds are. Is that on there? See, I believe she said 3.5 minutes.
Wrong.
She said it was so long.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Cassie.
Thank you, Cassie.
You overrode it, Cassie. Boo.
Well,
So take each point, Chairman, and talk to your board about it.
Well, the first point is musical guests on Fishcenter.
I think the first point was the tank, right? Sorry,
right,
not
first
the.
point's
I'm
the tank.
sorry.
Long beat.
First point's the tank.
It's been long.
Go ahead, Gian.
I have a small presentation I would like to make. Can somebody link my computer HDMI to like whatever screen there is?
Well, topic, I mean, typical LA traffic could be 30 or 40 minutes.
Are Josh and Ned able to see the presentation?
I mean, it's pretty close, but it's LA.
No.
Looks like Josh is on
It's
the
a very simple presentation. I'll try to keep it quick. I don't want to take up all the
It
time.
looks like this is mostly words.
It's mostly words.
Yeah.
Can you
HDMI's on the right side.
And the right
get these 4 cameras on Gian?
No, it's a lot of words, but I had to words. Text sometimes sometimes works. So
Sometimes.
yeah, sometimes works. Okay.
It'll come up.
Okay.
So it's on the big screen. I don't know.
Okay. So here's my case. Against going with ATM.
ATM is acrylic tank manufacturer.
Yeah.
We have 2, I'm sorry, just before you start,
Yeah.
to make it clear, we have 2 options. We can
Could be as many
Buy
as
it.
8, could be as few as 4.
buy a tank from George,
Can we mute Fish Guy Josh while he's on the phone?
or we can get acrylic tank manufacturers in Las Vegas to customize a tank for us. Go ahead, Gian.
Okay, here's the case against going to ATM. Number one, it's very expensive. The average 500-gallon tank without a lot of just with basic modifications costs around $50,000. Realtor.com.
How many gallons is the current tank? The
Current
first
tank is like 120-ish,
Okay.
125 or so.
Yeah,
Okay. So
Well, Ned can confirm.
4 times larger.
and 4 times larger. Yes. Yeah.
Is Realtor.com known for their fish tank estimates?
No, we
mean-
just really like that website.
No, but it's not only that. But I looked up, I backed it up with going to Reef, which is sort of a community for fish tank enthusiasts, and they pretty much said that the basic models for most custom tanks are $30,000. Especially especially with ATM, the basic model is $30,000. If it's 500-gallon tank, it's $50,000. That's pretty much correct. In 2013, a white-tipped shark died after slamming into a replica of the Wonder Wheel the first day of installation. So my point is that a lot of their installations, they may look cool, but I don't really think that they really think of the fish first. In 2014, 60% of the fish in a 650-gallon, $100,000 tank died within the first 2 months. And granted, the owner took some responsibility, but the owner was also a fish enthusiast who was accustomed to fish, and which leads me to the 4th point. If we want to be on-tanked, I think it's a really bad idea, in terms of the welfare for the fish, because for the contract for a tank to be on-tanked, you have to sign that. It's part of a 10-page contract, and you have to sign that you have to buy 30 or 40% more fish than is allowed in the tank, so that it'll look good on camera, so that on camera look more full. And after they're done filming, you have to take out the 30 or 40% of the fish by yourself. They won't do it for you.
Flush them?
You have to flush them or take them to a different location.
That's interesting.
That has no bearing on what we're talking about.
Yeah,
here.
but part of I'm just still talking about this because I talked with Matt, and part of the reason why he considered going with ATM was maybe we can be on Tanked.com, Tanked the show, and that's why I brought this up.
Got it.
Okay, that's why I brought this up, But my case against ATM is that it's expensive, and a lot of the little things that the little things that they put in may look good on but I think they don't really think about the animal welfare as much as we would like them to do.
Well, why do you need a tank 4 times the size of what you've got?
Because
Why do we need a tank?
One of the issues kind of solved itself by Mom dying, but it was having 2 puffers coexist. You just needed actual space and volume for them to have enough room to coexist. That was a concern.
You know what I think? I think Fishcenter overexpanded. Okay, in a classic franchise sense, you built too many restaurants, all right? You got too many fish. They were jammed into the original tank. The original tank was great with the original number of fish. And then you got, egotistical, and you expanded about, 3 times the size you needed to be. And I think that's brought all these problems.
What do you think a good number is that we should shoot for, and should we decide as a group what a good number is for fish?
What was the original?
I think the original was 9.
9.
How many do we currently have? 6?
We have like 6, 7, a 7 with TX Cupper.
Because, and this is a personal thing, I think in my head, we went to the fish store recently. We saw 3 fish, including Promises, the green wolf eel, that we were interested in bringing out. And I kind of felt like maybe it might address some of the taco problems. It might be a soft reboot to just, now we have 1 tank and we get 3 new fish to be invested in, and then that's just it. We're like 9 or 10, and that's it. And then we just aim for a tank that size and soft.
That's how we
fish and a
started, though.
reboot.
The original problem was Blue and Tang literally outgrew the tank.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, the only person I know that has had fish tanks their entire life, Dennis, okay, took a look at the original tank and the original number of fish and said that tank is too small for that number of fish. Because you always had, your tank was too small. Okay?
We also have a caretaker that we advised along the entire way. So it's not like we were going in blind. Not to throw Ned on the bus here, but we had consultation is the word. And we still do. We got Ned on Skype with us. So the balance between tank space and population versus an interesting cast, I mean, I don't think it's a hard argument to win. The more fish that we had, the more compelling the cast became.
But there's a certain
More
point where it's
interesting to be.
overwhelming.
Yeah, and I couldn't even remember the name of some of the fish.
Well, some of
after
them
you-
didn't last very long, but
Yeah.
there's a balance to be struck. If we err on the side of fish safety and just get 3 fish for a gigantic tank and ensure that they have room to grow, then we have a boring fucking show.
Well, nobody said 3 fish, Joe. I mean,
Oh, it's
you had
fine.
9
I said 3 fish, 3 new fish.
Well,
it'll be-
I would piggyback on what Joe's saying about the number of fish in the tank. I mean, a lot of those numbers are pretty conservative, and it's based on people not really having access to somebody like Ned who can take care of the fish. I mean, a lot of the fish in my tanks are, you know, they're pretty well populated because I have like a crazy amount of filtration. So depending on what kind of filtration you're going to have, especially if you have like a side room that you can put the filtration in. I mean, you can get the filtration for that tank that's double what the tank size is going to be, and probably be really well off as far as the number of fish you have. I think that's not going to be a huge concern, having somebody like Ned there and putting in a new tank from scratch.
Ned, what do you have to say about all this?
Could somebody summarize what the last person just said? I couldn't hear him hardly at all.
The two Skype caller. So the last speaker was Fish Guy Josh, and he explained that tank volume can be supplemented by filtration.
Sure.
So the same size tank, if you have, you know, like a super duper filtration system, you can
Right.
effectively increase capacity.
Right. It's kind of hard because I'm getting feedback.
Mason's working on that.
Fix that. That's better. Yeah, I agree. I think both of our tanks were kind of at capacity as far as bio load, and doing the best we could to try to maximize filtration to make sure that we were keeping the water quality and chemistry and everything else like that good, depending on the load. But that's absolutely true. We can really bump up more filtration to try to keep, and that's kind of where we're at with the system now. I would be very hesitant of trying to add anything to the system we have now. I feel like right now the system is basically maxed out, and we've got fish that, you know, aren't even half full grown. So something needs to happen as far as if we keep the current cast, just to keep them in a healthy environment, because a lot of them still have a lot more growing to do. But, you know, we can add all the filtration we want, but we still got to, you know, several of those fish in there are going to double in size. Now I can't hear anything.
No, we've been listening.
We were
Yeah,
thinking.
we were thinking.
Oh, okay.
Ned, I have a question. Do you think for like the current cast and adding 3 more fish, do you think a 300-gallon tank may suffice? 300 is more.
For the fish we have now, 300 should be fine, and we can definitely bump up the filtration. I'd have to be reminded about what exactly other fish we were going to add to it to see if what we have now plus 3 extra and a 300 should be okay.
One was a wolf eel.
Yeah, I remember that one.
One was it was a type of angel. It was like bigger and a little with crazy lines on it, but I don't remember exactly.
And maybe put a female wrasse, like, you know, a smaller one.
No, Ji Young wants a female wrasse.
Yeah.
Which one was Promises?
Promises is the green wolf eel.
Just as long as Promises.
Thanks.
The fish you're speaking of there, with what we have, and a 300 gallon should be, you know, totally doable, especially if we make sure that we get really adequate filtration for it. which is
So
not a
do the
problem.
math. So you have 6 fish now,
6 fish.
and you're talking about adding 3 fish.
Yeah.
Which brings it to 9.
Yeah.
And the original tank was 125 gallons.
Yeah, 125.
And you're talking about adding it, getting a
half.
300,
Yeah.
so doubling the size.
Yeah.
So I'm confused. Why would that not just be the perfect scenario
Yeah.
instead of just able to handle it?
Yeah.
Because they got growing to do.
Yeah.
Jeremy Legg is going
But
to get huge.
the original fish grew. I mean, they got huge.
Yeah, they grew too big for that tank. That's why we had to get rid of Old Blue and
That
Tang.
was the issue.
Because
and
they were way
the
too big
bullying
for
with
that
plum,
tank.
That's what brought in the second tank. I mean, it's a good problem to have, I guess, is when your fish are flourishing and growing. But we're recreating the problem.
So Ned, and
continue to grow.
if I can ask Ned and Josh, if we have these 9 fish at full size, does 300 gallons accommodate that?
I would think that would be fine, yeah.
Go ahead, Ned.
No, obviously, the more room that they can spread out, the more comfortable they are, more hidey holes, more spaces for them to hang out, the more comfortable they'll be. But as far as water chemistry and, you know, not outgrowing the system, I would say a 300 should be fine.
Josh, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm having trouble hearing Ned, but I'm gonna say that I think it's fine to have that many fish in that size tank, especially if you have enough hiding places, because they're reef fish typically. Like I said, I prefer to kind of add more fish than is usually allotted for a tank, because I do have good filtration and I'm taking care of them, kind of like Ned would for your guys' fish. I think 9 and a 300 is fine. I think you could. I don't think you need to go any bigger than 500 gallons. I mean, you guys have a nice corner area to put that tank in, and you can fill it out with a nice big tank. But yeah, I think 9 fish should be plenty in 300 gallons. I don't think you're pushing like the minimum of what the tank could hold, especially if some of the fish aren't going to get huge.
The problem with too big of a tank is that we lose some of the fish in the shot. If it seems like 9 is the ideal number of fish, 300 is the ideal number of gallons of water, should we say that that's our target? Scientists seem to agree. Do you guys agree?
I mean, and then like,
Oh,
yeah.
do you have more?
Yeah, and one more. I don't need
More
to like,
slide?
2 more slides actually.
Oh, okay.
Case
The cameras are blocking your slide.
Yeah. Case for a pre-made tank. It's way cheaper. It's like, this is like, you know, estimates for a 500-gallon tank. If it's 300 gallons, it's a lot cheaper. But it's it's about $10,000 US for a 500 acrylic tank in Stanford from fishtanksdirect.com, and it's like leak proof for the rest of your life. And I got a quote from glasscages.com. It was like around $5,000 for a 500-gallon glass tank and stand from like, you know, from that like website. And it's fast, you know, purchase and installation can be done in like 6 weeks. You know, we can install it pretty quick. And the reason why I like mentioned these 2 sites is because they had like fish tanks that had a width and height ratio of 2 to 1.
Which is close to 16.
16 by 9. So this is how to look on 16 by 9, because, you know, that's what I wanted to show, because it's not a perfect.
gray area.
Yeah, the gray area is what you will see.
So is that like moral ambiguity?
So there is a little bit on Ji Young's computer shows an
like
orange area,
orange
but you can't see
area.
it on the TV.
Yeah.
Due to the.
Oh, so like on Tidal Safe, it wouldn't even make a problem.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's appropriate.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it'll look, you know, the 2 to 1 ratio will look totally fine, great on camera, because there's no letterbox that you can see really clearly, you know.
So what are the dimensions on that 500?
What are the dimensions on that, Ji Young?
It was like a 96 by 48. So the acrylic one was 96 by 48, and the glasscages.com was 96 by 49 and a half.
And
So
then the width
that's
And the width was 24.
by 20.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was for a 500 tank. But I was just bringing this up because I just wanted to say that, you know, even if you don't go with like a custom-made route, you can have a good frame, you know, like for the fish shot. You know?
So are you guys like totally out on the idea of a custom tank now, or what?
Well, I think that's what we're deciding here, because I would like to bring back just for a second the big muff tank that I designed.
Now we're talking about 300 to 500 gallons as opposed to 8.
Well, this one is a 500-gallon tank. That's sort of a compromise. As you know, our first mock-up was 1,000 gallons, and I was getting consultations saying maybe 1,000. Josh was saying 1,000 gallons may be a little too big. And I said, fuck you, Josh, what do you know? What do you know with your life? He says, well, I work with fish tanks. And I said, oh, good point. But I designed here, this is my second pass after some consultation from Andrew Cho. It's a happy medium it's about 500 gallons. This is the big muff tank, 144 inches wide, 42 inches tall, and 20 inches deep. Cho, of course, you advised sort of on the columns to sort of block off some of the areas. We were saying over here this could be one of our departed fishes. The fish died before we had a chance to put them in this tank.
But yeah, if we need quarantine, if we need any special circumstances.
What does a muff do?
The muff is decoration.
So what are the dimensions again?
The dimensions of this was the big muff at 500 gallons. This is 144
And it's called the big
by
muff?
42 by 20.
But the problem is it doesn't really fit in the corner. You'll have to like, you know.
Yeah, it's all
I believe that's all muff, yeah.
Yeah, but if we're going to change the room to filtration, we can punch a hole.
Now, let me say
Okay.
that I am not 100% a fan of the big muff because what I desire is just this gray area in the middle. I want that to be the tank, so with our one camera shot, this is a show.
Well, if we trimmed some of the big muff,
Right,
and we got
so-
into the middle,
so here's
would
the
that
thing.
just be about 300
If we-
gallons?
That's exactly right.
If we
300
trim,
gallons.
if we trim the big muff, and we just go in the middle here, you could see down here these 72 by 42 by 25, getting rid of the extra big
Well, how's
muff.
it 25 when it was 20 before? I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
It could be 20, but
Okay.
if I make it 25, then that equals 327 gallons.
Little wiggle room.
There's wiggle room, and that's part of the design of the big muff is you got to be able to wiggle with the muff. And so that would only be this darker, grayer area,
Which is 300 gallons.
300 gallons. Not as exciting as some of our earlier designs, but functional, and hopefully we could still retain the muff.
But if the muff is not on camera, then what good is it?
Something to
Dave
lean
Apparently the camera shot.
against at the end of the day.
I mean, muffs can be
It'll
comfortable.
look good in the office. That's all. You know.
Yeah, Josh. I mean, some people around the office are muff heads, but I think we got carried away with tricky designs and all these gimmicks that we were thinking, oh, this and this and that, which it wouldn't have ever translated to the program that well.
I don't think that's true.
The
I mean,
octagon.
you could do something simple like we discussed that tank that would have, we called it like the deep end tank, where one side was lifted up so it was a little shallower, and you could almost put the camera at the long end of the tank and probably film the whole tank in one view, and then also have like the lower side, the upper side. I mean, you could probably do a lot with that and still have a relatively simple and not as expensive custom tank.
I mean, visually that's interesting, but when we've talked about messing with the water column, what we were told, I can't remember where, this is at the fish store or somebody, but when the fish habitate the tank, they'll find their preferred area of the water column and just stay there. So that would actually probably turn out to be kind of boring. Just like hamburger just hides,
It'll depend on the fish. I mean, you have like cruisers, you have like hiders in the reef. So a lot of that'll probably depend on what your layout is. I think you definitely have enough room there in that corner for a nice big tank. I personally wouldn't mind seeing like 10 to 12 fish in a nice 500-gallon tank. But I mean, I'm just over here in the lab advising.
Well, you will have a vote if you strongly disagree with something.
And I do think if you're going to make that whole room, if that room is now filtration, you should just utilize that as your fish room and move the other tank in there to be a legitimate quarantine on site.
Are you suggesting
that.
giving the fish an office?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. I agree with that. Yeah, give the fish an office. The quarantine team should go in that storage like office. Yeah.
You can make some little desks.
Yeah, like oh my God, that's.
Well, and it does seem most of the things that would be fun to add visually that we'd sometimes talk about with them are doodads. As in, like, StarCraft had a map editor and it introduced me to the word doodads when I was 9. And that was like little, well, it was what the word is.
Sort of like in Little Mermaid, who's its and what's its galore.
And who's its and what's its we don't need to get a tank manufacturer to need. Maybe
So
we
we're just
just
settling
need...
on a bigger rectangle.
The tenor of the room suggests that the tank ideally is 327 gallons, rectangular.
And we buy a Choa pet online, like I emailed those people who never got back to me.
Well, like increased filtration, which we'll put in the room next to it. I mean, this is all well and good. My only point this entire time was I thought part of the opportunity here was to customize a tank, create specific apparatuses or games that our fish could interact with potentially. And now we've completely undone that and gone back to just straight up 16:9 camera shot, boring as fuck, just bigger.
Well, give us an example of what you think should plus it.
If we had an extra side part, so
Little
back to the
couches.
full-size muff.
So where the little disease area is, so the disease can.
Yeah, if you go back to the big muff, then you can have different sections of the tank. You can have one side that is either sparsely rocked, there's more open space for the cruisers. You can have different types of games in that section. You can have different atmospheric, you can have a black light on that side of the tank. So the fish that have tropical colors with the black lights, like Mom did have before he passed, they'd be shown off with the black lights out of the tank. It could be the disco side. Just the things that we always usually have to compensate for digitally or with special effects or some Max's intern makes a video. If we customize a tank with more real estate, you can actually physically do that to a certain extent, and that's taking advantage of the situation. If we just replace the old tank with the same tank that's a bigger version, I feel like that's a wasted opportunity. That's my point. I'm not saying that this isn't gonna work. Obviously this will work. And yes, it's easy to film, but I feel like it's opportunity
Joe,
lost.
what you could do is, now that you guys have filtration in the other room, that does open up the opportunity, even if it's just a rectangular tank. You could put the, we talked about like a crawl space underneath where you pop your head up in like a bubble or a square
like
in the
that.
middle of the tank. If you did something like that, then on the wall where the filtration room would be, you could put a green screen on that short end of the tank, and then when a camera is inside the bubble, you could be peering toward the green screen, and you could put whatever you want on the screen and do a lot of the custom stuff that way, and it'd still be a simple rectangular tank. It would just have some kind of view bubble in the middle there.
Dave, can you illustrate a U bubble?
Sure.
That's gonna be pricey.
So I think if we
Very
put a
expensive.
hole in the muff,
Yeah.
I think if we have the bubble down here somewhere,
I hate this already.
and I think in here, a guy could poke his head up in here. I don't
Why
know.
do you hate it?
That's to scale.
I don't love it either, but I want to...
Well, every time I go down to the Georgia Aquarium, they have one of these things. You stick your head up and you look at the fish. I just think it's stupid.
It's all distorted.
Yeah, I think it's gimmicky. I think the beauty of
This
the
whole thing
show.
is gimmicky.
Well, you
It's a
can have
fucking
too much.
fish tank
Well,
show.
Joe, I think
You can have too much.
the beautiful fish. I think
So
one
all-
thing we have to remember is that people are here for the fish and not for the individual experience necessarily. But to have a technology advancements, which you're talking about, green screen backgrounds, different camera positions,
Yeah.
maybe we can take advantage of that in the design.
Maybe we could.
Throw
It
in
seems
the
like we're
water.
going away from all that is my point. I'm just...
Why don't you just go back to the basics and get that up and running and happy fish, new fish, 3 new fish, and then build an experimental tank and fuck around with that.
And then maybe get a tube that links them.
Yeah.
We're not going to get rid of the existing
Rapid
tank. It's
transfer.
still going to be here.
Unless
could
it
be the
springs a
But-
leak.
test tank.
Then transferring fish back and forth, that's not feasible. That stresses the fish. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, here's the thing. I've like seen this place go, and the more complicated thing is, it's going to take extra time. My priority here is to get the fish a new home, and get 3 more fish at the fastest and cheapest way possible.
Yeah, Jiyoung agrees with me on the soft reboot. If we
Yeah,
get,
see,
if we
that's
get Lil Muff with a soft reboot,
And honestly,
I'm with
I'm
that.
not even attached to the muff. I could get rid of the muff.
Yeah.
You've sold me on the muff, Dave.
But I'm just
I
saying, if
mean-
it's
mean-
costs, because
I mean, here's the thing. What you can do is there are some great pre-made acrylic tanks out there. We can get a pre-made acrylic tank that's very close to that dimension.
What do you mean by premium?
Pre-made.
Oh, pre-made.
Yeah, pre-made. Because there is like an acrylic tank manufacturer that makes great pre-made tanks. They're like leak-proof, guaranteed for life, and they can just add muffs on it. On the outside, in the outside hardware on the stands. I mean, that's the way to go about it. And
Ned, from a maintenance perspective,
It's got this muff.
I guess you'd prefer a more standard shaped tank.
oh, that's
Does it
a muff.
really
That's a
matter?
little muff. Yeah, well, we should
it's got a muff.
Yeah, that's a muff. We should use his fur.
that's Ned's dog Muffy.
Quick sidebar, acrylic or glass. The concern with the puffer fish is that they'll scrape up the acrylic and make it blurry.
I'm done with acrylic. I'm done with the.
Acrylic, I don't think it's an issue, Matt.
Okay. I was told it was an issue. That's the only reason I bring it up. And do we need a glass, thin glass divider between the acrylic and the fish to keep it not get blurry from the puffer scratching it up?
I just figure if we have the option to do a glass versus an acrylic, I know the acrylic from experience can be scratched up especially with pufferfish. Granted, a bigger tank lessens the chance that he's just going to sit there and be agitated at the front glass, running his teeth across it. But it seems an easy fix if we can get a glass one, the same size, relatively same cost, to just go ahead and do a glass one.
I mean, acrylic will scratch eventually almost no matter what. That's just how it goes. Like,
Right.
piece of sand gets in one scrub pad or whatever. I mean, Ned's awesome at what he does. I think I'm confident in what I do, and I scratch the shit out of my tank sometimes because any little piece of debris can mess up some acrylic. And if Ned's got more experience with puffers and thinks they may scratch it up too, I tell you right now, you are eventually going to get scratches on an acrylic tank.
And how annoying is it when you have scratches on your glasses,
Just ask
annoying.
Dave.
right?
It's very
Points out the
annoying.
scratches on the glass.
What's the advantage to having an acrylic tank?
Well,
Cost,
It was
right?
just because ATM said they worked in it, right? And they could
It's
bend
stronger, it's stronger and lighter.
When you get really big,
And-
it just doesn't make sense not to go with acrylic because it is so much lighter. You'd always have to build a gigantic glass tank on site because it gets so heavy. Where acrylic, you can do so much lighter. When you're talking over 500 gallons.
But if you got 300,
Or 300 to 500 gallons, do it in glass is totally doable. It's not a problem. But once you start getting really, really big, acrylic just
Yeah,
Yeah.
the early issue was the size we were talking originally. Acrylic was the best option,
Yeah.
but now that
And-
we've scaled that back.
I brought up the acrylic pre-made tank just because, in those pre-made tanks, a lot of times it's just like they don't have any seams. So if for leakage issues, it might have more insurance because you have no seams.
Is glass more prone to leak than acrylic?
I wouldn't say
It
any
can
more.
be because it's silicone, whereas acrylic, it's glued, and the acrylic glue actually, it's not really glue, it melds the two pieces of material together like when you glue PVC pipe or something.
So the acrylic bonding is better?
Stronger, yeah.
Yep.
But it's scratch.
Yeah, it scratches. so-
Scratches.
This is why we're having a board meeting.
Well, the thing
I
is, if
mean,
I
you know,
come in
I-
on the
I say
Sunday,
it's
it leaks. If it
scratchy,
leaks
but-
again, we should be fine.
Or if Rebecca just pays more attention.
Or if Rebecca, who lives
Yeah.
here, pays more attention.
Yeah,
Or if the security guards
know-
notice that there's fucking water in the rug.
I know.
Hey, they
I think that fish can detect petrochemicals in acrylic, and they will not be pleased.
Okay, so we'll go for glass then.
No
Sorry. I
non-resin.
forgot we have Aquaman on the fucking panel too.
All right, sounds like we're ready to move on. 327.
Wait. Are you voting on a resolution here? Is that
Resolution
something actually
is,
going to happen?
can we vote for a tank? Aye.
The type of tank?
Yeah,
is now
I was
being
getting to that, yeah. Getting
What
to
was
that.
the dimensions on the 327 gallon again?
So, the dimensions that I just put together were 72 by 42 by 25.
And 25 is the front to back?
Correct.
With-
But that's flexible.
So 42 tall.
42 tall, 72 wide. And and those dimensions are coming from firsttankguide.net/calculator.php.
So by picking the size, also keep in mind we're basically locking in a cast of roughly 9 fish.
Yes.
Great.
We're okay
Yeah.
with that?
To be
Yeah,
appropriate.
yeah.
We're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Too many fish gets to be
Confusing, yeah.
Confusing.
All right, just
Yeah.
making that clear. All right.
I mean, there are 9 players in a base.
So all the naysayers or peanut gallery that's like, we need more fish or we need fewer fish.
You know, I
This
still...
right here, we're settling.
Joe, you should have a little clown tank for all your little clown shit, that
not
just
my
sitting
clown
over in an office, in the fish office.
Yeah, we should make Joe's clown tank. I
I'm
agree.
gonna get a clown
Let's
tank,
vote, let's...
a
Okay.
clown
Put that
bowl with
forward.
little goldfish, and it's gonna
Okay.
be fucking awesome.
Here we go.
You get all.
We're ready to vote for a
weird this
327-gallon glass tank,
So
With additional clown tank.
additional Joe clown tank,
and
and
a
fish
clown
office.
tank for me.
let me
Okay.
just be greedy.
Any
because-
last comments before we take a vote?
Was Ned about to say something?
Ned?
I want to be greedy. If we're going to do 72 by 42 by 25, why don't we do 72 by 42 by 36?
Oh, shit.
Because with that extra front to back depth, you're able to do so much more decoration wise, rock stack wise, everything else.
Sold.
Yeah,
It's a lot
great
more
point.
Josh, what are you saying?
I think he's spot on because once you start with a reef tank, I mean, sure, you're going to have 327 gallons of water, but once you start adding in all those rocks that the fish need to hide in, you don't have a 300-gallon tank of water anymore. You got a bunch of shit in the water, and it's taking up space, and all your cruisers are going to have trouble swimming around. So I think if you want, I like Ned's idea of making it deeper front to back, and then that way you have more of like a true 300 gallons of water plus all the other crap that's going to be in there.
Well, it's going to be 471 with that extra 12 inches, pretty much.
Yeah, we're back to pushing 500 gallons. with
Let's
that.
do it. We'll give us a little.
Can we do the math on it right now?
Yeah, this is the math here on firsttankguide.net. 72 wide by 42 high.
I like it in
by
terms of
36 deep.
Fish well-being. It seems like if they have more,
471 United States gallons.
Okay.
if they do the Z-axis, if they have more fun on the Z-axis, I don't know. That's just like.
But that was also concerned with if the tank is too wide front to back, then the fish have more opportunity to scream.
Well,
If that's a concern.
they'll be healthier and happier,
Sir,
which is our priority. It
the
sounds
fish happy and healthy with plenty of places to hide, they tend to spend more time out because they know that at any given instant they've got a dozen different places that they can, get behind and get into.
That's
So-
interesting.
So actually, the more area, especially the fish we have, we don't have. The only hider we have is the eel and the marine beta. Everybody else should, they should be out front and center all the time anyway. And I think that extra volume, with adequate rock stack, lots of places for them to get into, they'll spend a lot of time out.
So the fish that we have and the 3 fish that we're thinking about adding, does this all seem appropriate?
I think that would be awesome.
Josh?
I think that'd be, especially because you can customize the filtration in the fish office, for lack of a, I guess is what we'll call it.
No, that is the name.
You can pump up so much filtration in that office that you could easily have 9 to 12 fish in a tank that size, and it would almost seem like barren at a point. I mean, that's going to be a big ass tank. And with enough filtration out there, that's going to make Ned's job easier. It's going to make fluctuations in adding new fish or feeding. Everything's going to be a lot more streamlined because you're going to have all that filtration in the room. So I think having that option of not having to jam everything under the tank like it is now, you can do pretty much whatever the hell you want with a tank that size.
Yeah.
Are 9 fish going to get lost in that?
No, I don't think so. And I think that really addresses Gion's point of trying to make sure that we're doing the best to make sure we're keeping the healthiest environment possible for the fish health, number one.
That was a point it seemed like Carrie via Cassie had. But Dave, can we erase the head from the muff tank? I don't want us to be giving head to muff right now. I'd rather.
So you don't want.
We're off on the head. We're leaving Cho Clown to the side.
All right, well, D. Brewski in chat says more rock block.
Yeah, but
Does
save
seem-
that. That could be the start of my clown tank, Dave.
Yeah, I'll leave the clown tank, and I'll get rid of
Clown muff.
off. Oh shoot.
All right, it sounds like we're ready to take a vote.
And Dave, can you write down the 30 on the by 30 on the bottom so we all know what we're looking at?
Yeah, I'm getting rid of the head. Just wait.
Is it 30 or 36?
Whatever you said.
It's 36.
I mean,
I
if
apologize.
it's too large, we can do a 30. You know, if it.
I think 36. They're our
right.
professional advisors.
Let's go with Greedy Ned.
The eel's name is Hamburger.
Did somebody say it wasn't?
Ned just said the eel.
Oh. Well, I mean, I do think it's a side point. I think it's important for Ned to not look at these fish in the same way we do with human characteristics
Oh my god.
and names and
It's
stuff.
true. Doctors usually say just.
Don't tell me
The
your
white
name,
guy.
just let me do the surgery.
I have the guy with glasses
Yeah.
up on the fifth
Oh.
floor.
Mexican has heartache, and they go do the heart surgery.
Okay, so we're the gallons on that is 478.
471.
Oh yeah, 471.
And what's
Hello.
Hello?
all right? Everybody comfortable? Any final thoughts before we take a vote? 471 gallons, rectangular tank, 72 by 42 by 36, made out of glass. Joe, what is your vote, sir?
I mean,
Aye or nay? Aye.
I'm fine with it.
Ned,
Aye.
Jiyoung,
I.
Dave,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Max,
Nye.
Oh!
Josh,
But I'm going to lose anyway, so it's fun that one person said no.
Josh.
Aye.
Yeah, I myself. The ayes have it.
Damn it!
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I was
All right, a decision.
All right.
I'm getting my clown tank, so I don't care about
What were the other resolutions? Hurry, I got a meeting.
What's your meeting for?
Excuse me.
Hot Streets?
So
it. And we're locking in glass.
Script.
yeah, we're locking in glass.
Glass. Yeah,
Glass.
you heard the gavel.
You would
Okay.
not believe this script.
Oh, wow. Can you send it?
Yeah, I want you to read it.
All right. Do we have anything else to talk about?
I mean, if you're talking about fish health, I know. I mean, we tried to explore this early, like last year, but it didn't happen because we couldn't
David Halloween last year.
Yeah, exactly. But, I think Ned is great, he's done a good job, but I think it's, it'll also be helpful to get a second opinion of a biologist, to see, what might have happened to our fish, or what may be wrong with our fish. So maybe get Mara to bring, Dr. Stephen Divers or someone from the Georgia Aquarium, to look at the tank and make any suggestions.
I vote Dr. Stephen Divers.
Yeah.
I think if we also had a fish room or the fish filter room, we could set up a nice quarantine system for any new additions or any fish that might have any kind of issue.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, multiple quarantine tanks that are small, too, so we
Yeah.
can always keep an eye on our elderly, sicky
Yeah, I mean, our
ones.
current tank is certainly going to is earmarked to be a quarantine tank.
Yeah.
I thought we were earmarking that for
Show
a
clown
reef
tank.
tank.
No, my clown tank's going to be its own thing.
Joe's going to go to ATM for the
It's
clown
going to be
tank.
acrylic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do want to make sure you have a nice big quarantine. Sometimes if you use a quarantine tank that's too small, you end up having more problems. So I think a tank like the junior league tank now would be a great quarantine tank in the fish office.
Yeah.
You could throw the craw tank in there, and then it's going to make the room outside just look nicer with one big show tank.
Cool.
See, Josh, I thought we were going to turn the junior league tank into a reef tank so we could get micro shots.
Oh, that's true.
Well, you got a whole damn fish office now, so yeah, do that and just get a third tank.
Well,
for
Ned,
quarantine.
maybe I can have my clown tank be a reef tank.
We can definitely do that.
We'll talk about that.
Clown Reef.
That's another board meeting for.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
something
mean,
else.
you can get a big fish tank used on Craigslist to go in the fish office for a quarantine, no problem.
Sure.
Also, there's this new show coming out on MTV show called Game of Clones, where there's 7 identical looking people dressed the same who kind of do like The Bachelor with one person. So the looks don't matter. They're all the same. They have to choose that one person. What if we did Game of Clowns and we sent you on a date with 7 clowns?
I feel like that's another meeting also.
Another meeting.
Okay.
But I vote A.
Yeah,
Aye.
me too.
Mind your business.
I vote CLOWN.
All right. Were there any other items of business?
Do we want to address the rest of Carrie's objections?
You know, Carrie's a Tokyo chatter who doesn't know how long CoinQuest things are. She had the opportunity to come and be here. Instead, she sent a memo.
An overwritten memo.
Yeah, it's way too long, and she could have come here and spoken. We afforded her the opportunity to speak. Instead, she sent an email. So I think we ignore it.
Okay.
It wasn't a memo, it was a fucking essay. It even said essay.
Yeah, it was an essay.
Well, if we're going by what's in the room here, Ji Young's next point about the second opinion, expert opinion,
I mean, he would not come unless Ned came. So I mean, either way, we'll have to have Ned's, blessing. Because
So if
yeah.
All right, so what we'll do then, Ji-young, is we'll put you in charge as secondary fish health follow-up.
I'm really bad at contacting strangers.
not
and-
really bad.
Hold on.
Yes. Yeah.
Order. If it comes up, hopefully it won't come up with our new setup. You and I and Mara can coordinate with Ned and Dr. Divers
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Mara is very good at contact
All right.
strangers. Yeah, I'm very bad at it because Dr. Divers was very angry at me when I first called him out of the blue.
Yeah.
What did you say? Wait, when did that
Just 'cause
happen?
he's like a doctor version of Dave.
No, I just talked to him and was like,
Upgrade.
hey, I'm
Well,
from.
Ji Young, it probably sounded like you were doing a prank call.
Also, by the way, if you're on Tokyo, just come over to the real chat.
Twitch.
What are you afraid of? Garbage chat. Okay.
People have to have their badge.
And then let me know when you start looking at filtration. I do have a few connections for larger scale, aquaculture, industrial type filters that could go in the office to make the filtration just super
Very,
buff.
very boring.
It's useful though.
Anything else?
I'm going to save this file so that we remember.
I think
and
not
I will
only that,
date
you
it.
should send it to Matt
2000
right now.
It's titled fish_2019-0221.psd, and I'll
I
save
vote
that.
aye for that.
Ned, thank you for your service and your time for all the fish.
Thanks, Ned.
Thanks, Ned.
And
Thank you, Ned.
Thanks, Ed.
We'll talk
it's
about
fun
my
to see you
later.
dressed differently as well.
Yeah, it's cool.
Jacob
Yeah, you look
Banks
like the
hat.
Edge.
The Nedge. Fish guy Josh, thank you for your service, for all the fish, for preserving them, and for supporting us.
Matt just broke another law.
And thank you all for being here on the Fish Center board. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Awesome.
Stay tuned for Stupid Morning Bullshit.